Hey friends, hey beautiful soul, Megan here of megansiemens.com. I'm a life coach for women, supporting you to get out of your comfort zone and on with that life and business you are wildly obsessed with. And today we're talking about happiness. I feel like there should be a dance party here. Like, full transparency, I'm just learning YouTube, so I don't know if I can put music to this. Hopefully, there's some music. If not, silent disco. All right, let's talk about creating more happiness now, today, right here, right now, where we're at. All right, friends, so often we are seeking happiness, and I work with women who have big goals, game changer women. And ultimately, what we're all seeking is a feeling, and oftentimes that feeling is happiness. And I believe part of my purpose here on life is to ignite as much happiness as I can in everyone that I come into contact with. And so oftentimes people ask me, how are you so positive all the time? How are you so happy? And oftentimes people mistake me being happy and positive all the time for thinking that my life is easy or without difficult times. And that's the first thing that I want to give to you, the first step, if you will. Not that happiness is a step-by-step process, but the first step, if you will, of creating more happiness now. And that's what embracing what is. So often we're stuck in our comfort zone. And I think this is the key to fake happiness versus full-on embodied happiness. And what does embody mean? It means that you are embodying the happiness. You're not tricking yourself into thinking you're happy. So I used to live with a lot of fake positivity in my life. Maybe one of these days I'll do a YouTube video with my full story. But I went through a lot before I was 18 years old. I went through things that I wouldn't wish upon anyone before I was 18 years old. But I was always taught to be happy. I was always taught to be the good girl and be the happy one and be the one that pleases and just put a smile on and no one has to know. And that creates fake happiness, false happiness, not embodied happiness. My body didn't feel happy. I didn't feel happy inside, but I was really good at painting a smile over top of it. And so the first step to creating that full embodied happiness is to accept what is and to be okay with where you've been. Because where you've been doesn't define who you are. And where you've been definitely doesn't define where you're going. And for so long, I let where I had been dictate where I was going to go. And I let it tell me, you're not good enough to do this, you're not good enough to do that. And by repressing all of those feelings, I continue to take action from that place. But when I began to face them and recognize, here I am now, here I am right here, right now, those things built me, those things built resistance. Let me feel into them for the first time in ever and see what happens. And side note, I do recommend if you're working with trauma, go get yourself a counselor or a trauma therapist. Anyways, I digress. It's feeling into everything. Building more happiness now isn't ignoring or pushing aside other things. It's being with what is, being here and now, and knowing that you get to create this reality. All right, that's number one. Number two, steps, if you will. Maybe we'll think of a better word by the end of this video. But number two, for creating more happiness right here, right now, is recognizing that it is an embodied state. So just like I was talking about at the beginning, I've already explained what embodied is, but it's feeling it in your whole body. It's creating true happiness, not false happiness, not just painting a smile on, but creating full body happiness. And the way we do that is by not charging your emotions. So not saying sadness, anger, discomfort, fear, pain are negative, and then happiness is positive. Because if we charge them like that, obviously we want to go towards the happy, no matter what. We'll just pretend, yes, I'm very happy. But if we can stop charging them and just let them be what is, and just be with them here, then we can start to create that full embodied happiness, because we start to recognize how amazing full, true happiness feels. I didn't know what I was missing out on. Everyone used to say I was a little ray of sunshine and I was so happy all the time and I just always had a smile on my face. And I was like, yeah, okay, I mean, I feel like, can I curse on YouTube? But I feel horrible on the inside, but okay, thank you. That's nice, yeah, I'm a ray of sunshine. But when you can create that full embodied happiness, it's such an incredible feeling. And I think the way you get there is by opening the gates to everything. I'm not positive because I've been through nothing. I'm positive because I feel it all, because I embrace my wholeness. So stop charging your emotions and just let them be what is and work with them as they come up. And finally, creating more happiness now. And this is what's going to allow you to create more happiness in the future as well. So we have big dreams, we have big goals, we have all these things we want. But the external world doesn't dictate our internal reality. And so I've created really incredible things in my life. I'm very proud of the accomplishments I've had. I've been able to travel the world on a one-way ticket more than once. I've been able to check off bucket list countries. For me, that's something that's just really important to me. It might not be important to you, might not care about traveling, but I've been able to do things like that. I've been able to earn more money in a business that I love without having someone tell me, you can take off at this time, you can take it at that time. Again, something I wanted to do. It doesn't have to be something you wanted to do. These are all external things I created in my reality. I created a relationship that I truly feel like is a soul connection. So many things in my external reality, but none of them changed my internal state. In fact, my first one-way ticket trip that I went on, I had so much expectation on it to create this new level of happiness and this new feeling of freedom. And when I got there, I was met with such disappointment, ultimately, because nothing changed. I was still operating the same as a human. I was grateful and I was excited to have what I had, and I was feeling really good about being there, but I was still operating the same. I was still working in the same way. I was still showing up in the same way. And I was like, why is this not like changing everything in my life? And it's because the external doesn't change what's happening in here. It can amplify it, and so I did feel really heightened states of gratitude, but since I didn't work on some of those internal stories that were how I was operating in different things, like work and different ways I was showing up, those were also being amplified in new ways. The external world doesn't change what's happening in here. If you're seeking happiness in creating something, you will be met with disappointment. And so you create the happiness now. You live in that embodied happiness now. You recognize everything you have now. You recognize the gratitude you have now. And I intentionally put this after step, whatever we're calling it, happiness tip, happiness hack. Is that better? I intentionally put it after that one because we feel the other emotions, we don't bypass them. That's going to make us feel more full in our happiness because humans learn by contrast. We don't know light without dark. We don't know full happiness without sadness. We wouldn't know the difference. It would just be, we would just be like meh. If we didn't have the contrast, right? So I intentionally put that ahead of this one because we don't bypass the other emotions, but we can turn the volume up on the really good things we have in our life now. So we can turn the volume up on what's going really amazing in your life. What do you love? What are you grateful for? What do you already have? Because when we start to feel more of that here and now, we just want to create more and more. And when we're working with our happiness in the present, we amplify it more and more. But if we're working from a place of anxiety and force, and I've got to create this or else, and I'm so anxious in everything I do, and I'm so exhausted, you're just going to continue to amplify that. Just because you create more in your external reality doesn't mean you're suddenly going to stop being exhausted or anxious. You're just going to amplify that exhaustion and anxiousness. All right, my lovelies, I hope that these tips have helped you to turn the volume up on your joy. And when in doubt, just dance it out. I wonder if I've figured out how to put music on yet. We'll see. All right, lovelies, until next time, make sure if you loved this video and love these tips, you hit subscribe to my channel. I post videos every week and 30-second life coaching process tips, which I'm so excited about. So make sure you hit subscribe so you can get the first notifications. And I'd love to hear a comment below. How did you find these tips? What's the one that you feel like you really need to dive into, you really need to work on in your life? And as always, in the description of this video, there are some free goodies for you. So if you like this corner of the internet and you want to grab a freebie that I have below that's going to allow you to tap into yourself and unlock your purpose and life and business you're obsessed with, make sure you check it out below. All right, I'll see you next time.